Hi everybody, you're welcome to Relationships with Adenike. On today's episode, we're going to be going into the man cave where we're going to have some very interesting conversations with a couple of guys. Stay tuned. So first of all, let me start by saying thank you guys for coming to the show today. Thank you for allowing me into the man cave. And let me ask one question before I say anything else. What do you think the biggest myth most people have about men? Rita?
I would say for one, I think a lot of women think we don't listen.
I think so too at times.
I don't think that's the case. I think we do listen. Oftentimes we just find it hard to perhaps articulate the words.
Right.
And we have to tread carefully when we respond. So those are certain things we have to be cautious about. There's just a lot that goes into responding and making sure you're not hurting anybody. So I think we do listen. I think that's one thing.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I think to kind of buttress what he just said, if you look at the society at large, people believe that women are more emotional, that men don't really have emotions in them. But I think it's not a fact that can be sustained with statistics, because over time we've got to realize that the new generation, the new crop of people that you see in the society, some girls or some ladies, I'm sorry I have to say that, don't really even know what it takes to be a real woman. And you've seen in some family that a man has stepped up to that throne to lead by example and show some level of emotions by caring for the children and care for the wife. Whereas people feel that, women don't listen, as he said, or men don't listen rather, or men don't have emotions in them. And some more people also feel that men are not detailed, which is very, very wrong.
Okay.
Most of the time, before a man starts up a relationship with a woman, there's some basic things that he tends to look at. And looking at the family home as well, people that are married can testify to that. I can say that every man that is married wants to see his wife look good, wants to commend and compliment what the woman is putting on. But in the outer world, people feel, the man is not detailed or is not emotional. So I think it's on the downside, but we need to give some props to men.
Cool, wow, this is interesting. We started big, the men have come out saying, hey, let's get this message straight right now. I love that. So Femi saying, men do give attention to detail and they do have emotions. So, I've heard, and it's that point you made me realize a book I read and quite a while ago that I thought was quite interesting. It says men are from Mars and women are from Venus. And it talks about the fact that men are quite logical in their thinking. But like you've said, and I agree with you that, they do have emotions as well. However, I do believe that a man thinks very differently from a woman. So can we just explore, the mind of a man? If I should ask you, for example, Timmy, that, when I talk about what goes on in the mind of a man, what's one of the first things that you would say?
I mean, I would say society. I mean, as you grow up from a child to a boy, from a boy, and I'll say probably a young man to becoming a man. You're taught certain aspect of what a man is. You're taught certain aspect of what you should do, and as you articulate into those phases in your life, you get to a point where you understand what it means to be a man in regards to providing.
Right.
So that plays into the mind of a man. It plays into the mind of how he thinks he should provide for a woman, or how he thinks he should provide for himself, or if he's thinking about having a family, how he thinks he should provide for the family. So of course, when you say the aspect of that we think differently in terms of men and women, is because we think differently based off of how we provide the needs that is a necessity depending on where you are in your life. Not all men want to be married. You know what I'm saying? So at the same time, those who are, they have to think differently in regards to how they think about what it is to be a man.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And I would say men are goal oriented. So if I want to act a certain way or do a certain thing, it's like going to a mall and you want to go shop. As a man, I know I want to get a blue pair of pants. I know what aisle it's in, and I know what size I'm going for. I don't even need to try it on. But if I go with my wife, I want to get a blue dress. But on the way to the blue dress, there's a pink one that looks nice. There's an orange one that looks nice. It's like they've taken everything else, whereas a man wants to go straight to the point. So that's why sometimes when they say men don't even listen, it's not that we don't listen. It's that we don't want to talk about all the other issues. We just want to focus on one. So let me process this before I respond to this.
Interesting.
Yeah, based on what you just said, it's very important also that, you know, some women understand that it takes time for a man to actually process something. Men have a lot of emotion, but we're, how should I put it, controlled in that we just don't burst out.
Right.
Some people, they don't know how to channel that. So they say, hey, let me take some time. Or, like, I would like to ask, can you give me a day to think about this?
Oh, wow.
And I'll get back to you. Because to me, that to me is a key phrase that if, let's say I'm really, really upset about something, it allows me to calm down.
Right.
And actually, not just allow me to calm down, it allows me to think more logically. Okay, well, does she have a point in this? What is my take in this? Why am I upset to begin with? And then I can come back and say, okay, let's sit, let's talk. Here's what I think.
And I think that is so interesting because, you know, and I'm sure a lot of women that are listening, this will be, I'm enjoying this because I get to be in the man cave, right? You know, for most of us, when men go away, especially when there's been some form of a quarrel or, you know, whatever the case may be, in most cases it comes across as if they're being ignored. Women feel as if they're being ignored. And so when you try to pull away to think, there's that sense of going after to say we need to address this now. How frustrating is that for a man?
Very, very. Extremely. Because it's the sense of, I don't want to talk about this right now.
Right.
Trust me, you don't want to hear what I have to say right now. If you hear it, let's forget about this whole thing. Just give me some time, because usually it allows you to process the entire situation. Because if something were to happen right there and there, we're very focused. We're tunnel vision, should I put it. And when in that particular situation, I don't see your point. I don't want to see your point. I have my own opinion. I stick to it.
That's a good one.
And I'm gonna narrow it down. This is what I think. But if you give me the time to think, I process the whole issue.
So let me, and it's interesting, wow, it's where, you know, we pivoted to, and I like that because, so we're going to have a free flow, right? You know, we're going to just throw out the script. So let me ask the question. So if we back up a bit, you know, and just really try and understand this logical reasoning process and the values. We live in a society whereby, you know, you're more likely to see an advert showing should I use the word dumb dad? You know, the dad always seems to be clueless. You're always seeing the men as not knowing where the dry cleaners is or not knowing where the milk is and the rest of it. How do you feel that media has created a stereotype for who a man is? We don't, it's either we see the dumb dad or we see a superhero. You know, it's almost like we don't reflect what the everyday honest man is. So when we go back into the mind of a man, how do you portray that part of you that's vision, that has a plan? And why do you think a lot of men struggle with having a vision? Is it just a lot of women seem to think he doesn't know what he wants? Is that true?
So I always tell my friends, know yourself first before other defines you. So, as a man, you need to know who you are. And knowing who you are helps you shape a vision for yourself.
Okay.
And I feel like everybody should go through that phase. Everybody, not just a man, but a woman, everybody.
Right.
But knowing who you are as a person, know what you like, what don't you like, what will you stand for, what won't you stand for.
So that's a good point.
So, it helps shapes the ideal of you. Because
if I should throw that, you know, when you just said that point, every man should know who they are. And if you don't mind, Julie, let me ask you this: do you feel that there is an age where every man must know who they are?
I don't know.
To answer that question, do you think that's something men struggle with?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's an age thing. Maybe a stage.
The stage, okay.
You know, because you know, I think everyone is in different stages in life. You talked about, you know, a father, you know, a husband. Doesn't necessarily have to do with age. Fathers that are really young, or husbands that are very young, and then you have, you know, single people. So I want to say there's an age. It's an age thing. It's more of a stage. And if I may just back up a little bit, you asked a question about the role of the father or a man being focused on maybe losing who they are. And it's funny, as a father, you know, married father, you know, it's society has this way of putting men, especially if we may just, since we all kind of, well, we have, you know, others here, but you know, black or Hispanic or whatnot. Society has a way, especially this society has a way of putting men into one fold. It's funny, the other day I was driving and I saw this ad and it said, you know, I don't know what the premise was, but it said something about go ask your mom, wait till we get home. And it was like 3 things that a father would typically say. And it's funny, I thought to myself, I said, I've said each of those lines. Yeah, I've said each of those lines. I've said, go ask your mom, you know, wait till we get home. But it's not who I am. It's not the only thing that I am. Right. I'm more than that. I'm also helping with homework. You know, I'm also helping with you know, my daughter with painting her nails. I don't do that for my wife. You know, it's funny. It's more to me, but I do have those parts too. So just kind of addressing the whole thing. I think they can't, you know, and this society has a way of putting people into buckets. That's I guess what I'm trying to say.
Right.
And if you don't, if this bucket is where they're going to put you, but there's more to it. Right. If you allow people to just, if you get to really know. You know, we all, you know, at least for the fathers or husbands or even single men, we all have emotions, like the gentleman have said here. We all have feelings. We all have, you know, we go through situations just like our women go through situations. And it's about just balancing it and that, knowing what stage you are and growing through that stage as you go through different phases of life. Right.
And I was going to answer a question you mentioned earlier, basically what he was saying, and he mentioned as well, what role does media play now?
Right. Yes.
I think this is what has happened, and this is my own analysis of the whole situation, is in the past, men were portrayed as the sole breadwinner. They put the women at home in the kitchen, the woman's place is in the kitchen, so the man was the go-getter, he did all these things. And now, as society is changing and evolving, they are beginning to say, no, each role is important. So a woman can be the one who's the breadwinner of the house. So now we can portray both men and women saying, hey, go, I don't know where the dry cleaners is, or I don't know where this is, because now everybody's in the same bucket, or in the same, everybody has the same role. So that, and I think the problem with that is that sometimes we tend to go too extreme. Okay. So we went one extreme to the other, and now we're trying to go back just to correct what we're doing. We're trying to go to the extreme as well, to say men don't know stuff, and it's that's what society does too, and that's what media does.
That's interesting. There's a strong point I want to bring from what you just said, but I'll do that after the break. We'll be right back.